This video lesson is going to explore Eugene O'Neill's A Long Day's Journey into Night. I want you to look at this list of names that are popping up on the screen. A lot of different actors. I'm guessing that you're going to be familiar with many of these names. So every single one of these actors has played a role in Eugene O'Neill's Long Day's Journey into Night. The roles that are in this particular play are highly coveted by actors because they're so challenging dramatically and theatrically, and there have been a ton of awards that have been given to the different actors who have played in this drama over the years since its premiere in 1956. So Eugene O'Neill is the playwright for Long Day's Journey into Night. He was born in 1888, died in 1953. He's often considered America's greatest playwright or one of America's greatest playwrights. He won multiple Pulitzer Prizes, one of which was for this particular play, posthumously. He was part of the Provincetown Players. We talked about that little theater group connected also with Susan Glaspell. And you probably got a sense of his life and the difficulties of his life in the author's headnote. And the more that I learn about Eugene O'Neill, the more saddened I am by the nature of his life and his family of origin. And Long Day's Journey into Night is actually autobiographical, and for that reason, it's one of the last plays that O'Neill wrote. After he finished it, he had it locked away, and my understanding is that he really had requested that it not be revealed until 25 years after his death. But his widow made arrangements for it to be premiered 3 years after O'Neill died, and the first performance was in 1956, and the response to the play was overwhelming. A little bit about the setting of the play. It's set on the Connecticut shoreline in the Tyrone family's seaside home. And one thing that you want to know for sure about the setting is that it's very foggy. You hear a lot of references to fog in the play. The year in which it's set is 1912, so just after the turn of the century. The entire play takes place over the course of a single day from morning to night. And those two categories of setting have to do with the spatial setting, which is the physical space, so where it's located geographically. And then some of the aspects of the setting. Might also be interesting to note that the entire play takes place inside their home. Nothing happens anywhere else. And then those last three details of setting have to do with the temporal setting, which has to do with time. The characters of this play are James Tyrone. He's known as James Tyrone as you read the play. This is the father of the Tyrone family. Mary Tyrone, his wife. James Tyrone Jr., Jamie, who is their eldest son. Edmund Tyrone, who is their younger son. And there's also Eugene Tyrone, who died at a very young age when he was a baby after being left with, according to the storyline of the play, Marion Tyrone left Eugene with parents so that she could travel with Tyrone. He was an actor, and he caught the measles and died. And so one of the things that I think is important to know is that, or interesting, and I guess part of the tragedy that's connected with O'Neill's life is that O'Neill is actually Edmund in the play, but he names the child who died after himself. And then there's Kathleen, who is the help at the house, and she has a conversation with Mary Tyrone at one point during the play. As far as the form, this is a 5-act play. It is the polar opposite of Susan Glasswell's Trifles, which I'm sure you figured out as you read it, but it is kind of that traditional classic 5-act play. And in the head note, one of the comments is that the play demonstrates rigorous dramatic formalism and that O'Neill designed the play as a series of encounters. Each character is placed with one, two, or three of the others until every combination is worked through. So if you go through and track the plot and see kind of the series of conversations that happens, you can see how intentional O'Neill was to make sure that every character has an opportunity to interact with every other character, and then they all interact in various smaller groups as well. It is a tragedy. And it maintains the unity of time and place, which is a very important quality of this particular classical literary form. One of the things that you'll probably also notice is that this play has incredible stage directions, all of those, of course, written by Eugene O'Neill. They remind me a tiny bit of the italicized sections in Ernest Hemingway's The Snows of Kilimanjaro. And again, this play is exactly the opposite of Trifles in that, Glasswell gives some stage direction, but the information and the guidance that O'Neill gives to the actors in this play is really copious, and that's part of what makes the play so challenging, is that he has a very specific idea in mind about how he wants the actors to play these roles. If you were to go to see this play, it will last nearly 4 hours in a live performance. One of the longer plays that I've ever seen, and definitely kind of an embodiment of the title, The Long Day's Journey into Night. And if you go to a performance of the play, there may be a lot of set design that has to do with changing that lighting over the course of the storyline. So what you see here is one of those modernist literary traits, and that is Eugene O'Neill taking an old classic traditional form of the 5-act play and the tragedy and making it new by injecting all of these stage directions, not just about movements that the actors are going to do on the stage, but about their emotional state, about their thoughts, and that is one of the most significant ways that he takes that classical form and puts a new spin on it. So that should give you an overview of some of the basic elements of the play. Then in the next video, we'll kind of do a little bit more analysis. I'll talk about some of the themes, talk about some important quotes, and we'll examine some of the symbols from this play.